Hello everyone and welcome to the first Mastering Life Shorts of 2021. My name is Matthew Bennett, otherwise known as English Leather Master. There are some people I haven't seen on my webinars before, so welcome if you just learnt about me. I put an ad out on Recon last week and there's been considerable interest in what I do. I've also been doing various podcasts and things over the break. So you might have seen me on those. If you can hear me, can you just put a hi in the chat, and we will be using the chat box later, so it'd be useful to make sure that everyone can see that. If you don't feel comfortable putting it to everyone, then you can put it just to panelists and I will see that you are here. Hi there. Okay, right, so let's get going. Thank you. Number of people, wonderful. So welcome to Mastering Life Shorts webinar 26. So as I say, I picked up a number of people who've learned about me in the last week or so. If you are interested in any of my other webinars, then they are available on YouTube, or you could go to my website, englishleathermaster.com, and there's all 25 of the webinars on there, along with worksheets that will help you to work through the ideas that I've gone into in each of those webinars, so you can take it a little bit further for yourself. Today we're going to be talking about marketing mistakes, and I was really aware that when I decided to do this webinar, I'm putting myself up for so much stick because I'm sure I make these mistakes myself all the time. Now, where on earth and why on earth would I be able to talk about marketing? Well, actually, I'm going to be talking about something very specific in marketing, and that is the language that people use when they are trying to get an idea or to sell something, so getting something to their audience. Where did this come from? Well, in a past life, I used to work in assessment. This is me in China teaching some Chinese teachers about how to teach or prepare their students for exams in mathematics. In fact, I think it was that day. Now, my interest wasn't actually in the mathematics, it was in the papers themselves and how to unpick papers. And there's a massive thing in assessment that you should only be assessing what the students need to be assessed on. And in this case, it was mathematics, not on the language of the papers. So if you have any words in the papers that don't make sense to students, then you're actually being unfair, that especially if you're talking about international students, that you are putting off a student and you're marking them down simply because they didn't understand the question, when actually they could do the algebra or whatever it was absolutely fine. So what we were doing in assessment was trying to make our papers as clear as possible in order to make sure that the students could access them and get the most out of them. What's that to do with marketing? Well, if you think about marketing, the fundamental idea of marketing is that you have an idea or a product or a service and you want to take it to an audience. The selling bit comes after this. This is about making people aware of your idea. Now, if you think about audiences, there are three potential types of audience out there. So there's an audience who are totally within your industry. So for example, this woman is obviously talking to some doctors or scientists or something. Therefore, you can be very happy to use jargon or acronyms or anything that exists within your industry. You could have people who have come along, like the people at this webinar, who have a vague idea of what you're talking about. So they're starting to be on the same page, but they may not have the same background as you. Or you might have people who have no idea what you're talking about, who, and in this case, the guy might be sitting there listening to the radio and might hear an advertisement on the radio about something, and you need to get a message across really quickly. Or maybe they've stumbled onto your website through other means, and you need to pick them up without them knowing anything about you or your industry. And the three different audiences need different levels of advice and help in moving forwards. So how I'm going to help you with this is by going through four visualizations. So what I need you to do is I need you to close your eyes for a moment. Please do this because otherwise it won't make sense. Close your eyes, put your hand out, and imagine I'm putting a really delicious sweet or candy on your hand. You can then take it and put it in your mouth. And imagine what that feels like in your mouth. Okay. Could you all open your eyes, obviously? Now, can you write down in the chat what you thought, or what you were feeling, what came up when you put that into your mouth? Wow, yum. Yummy. So nice, happy, excellent. Okay, lots of different ideas coming in from different people in the webinar. Okay, now I want you to do this again. Close your eyes, put your hand out, and I'm going to put a piece of durian into your hand. I'd like you to take that durian, put it in your mouth and taste that durian. Now, if you could write down in the chat, what just came up for you? What's that? Someone says yak. Yuck, says someone else. Someone says, oh, I don't know what that is. Okay, that's sort of the point. Okay, moving on. Oh, sorry, don't want to press that yet. Okay, close your eyes again. 3rd out of 4. What I want you to imagine is a dog comes bounding into your room right now. What do you feel? Scared? Fun? Yay, happy. Number of different responses to that one. Playful and fun. Excellent. Okay, so lots of different people are saying different things for that, and it's interesting that the dogs split the audience between scared and fun. Okay, and then the final one, I want you to imagine that we're going on an adventure. We're now in storybook land, and I want you to close your eyes and imagine that you have been told you have to go and slay the dragon, and you've been given a Vorpal sword. And I want you to imagine holding this Vorpal sword that you're going to slay a dragon with. What does that feel like? Nervous, adventurous, powerful, heavy. Excellent. Okay, so a range of different responses for our different visualizations. Now, what's this got to do with marketing? So what I'm talking about here are 4 categories of words that people use in their marketing. Sometimes those words can be really powerful and help people in understanding your message, and sometimes they can put people off. So let's look at what those are. So the idea of sweets and candies. Every person has a good feeling about sweets and candies. It doesn't matter. I've done this before with many people, and everyone says good things about sweets and candies. So generally, you get the idea that it's a good thing. However, you're going to put your own meaning on top of it. So some people would have thought about a hard candy. Some people would have been chocolate. Some people would have been jelly babies or whatever. You're going to substitute your own meaning on and make that idea grow. So what words mean that sort of thing or act in that sort of way? So examples would be things like success. I will be successful. I will help you be successful. Our product has high quality. Our product is very effective. All of these have good meanings. The specifics of those are not necessarily needed in many contexts. So you might say, well, what is an effective? And you might have to unpick it later. But actually, if we just say we are the most effective on the market, then that's great, because at least you brought the person forward in understanding what you're saying. Durians. Now, some people won't know what a durian is. A durian is a very large, very, very smelly fruit that they eat in Southeast Asia. Personally, I think they smell like dirty socks and they taste like garlic, and they've got a very strange texture. They're incredibly deep flavor. I dislike them intensely. Some people love them, and I think it's to do with the fact that you've been brought up with that taste, and therefore it's quite normal to you. Now, if you knew that, you'd either say durian's great, I love it, or you say durian's disgusting, I don't like it. If you don't know that, you're completely, you can't make a judgment because you don't know what a durian is. And so many people answering this question say, what are you talking about? I don't know what a durian is. I can't visualize that. So words and phrases that have specific meanings but are not universally recognized are jargon. You have to explain that to people. And far too often we get stuck in our own jargon in our own industries. Words that could be jargon. So objective test questions. If you know what an objective test question is, it's a very simple idea. If you don't, you've got no idea from that. It's not what you think it is. It's actually multiple choice or single answer question, whether there's one single answer. Bull market is a particular thing in the financial industries. If you don't know what it is, you've got no way of guessing. Partnering is something that coaches talk about, in that I partner with my clients. Now that sounds like I'm going to have a relationship with them. It actually means something very specific, but I use it. So therefore I would not use it on my marketing websites. However, I have seen it on other coaches' websites. Dogs. Dogs are words and phrases that split your audience. So loads and loads and loads of people love dogs. Some people hate them. You can't predict. If I said to you, you're going to have a dog come into your room, I can't predict whether you're going to love it or hate it. Now, there are some words that are a bit like that. So change. Some people love the idea of change. I happen to be really excited by change. Some people hate it. Vulnerable. Now, vulnerable to a lot of people who are involved in the self-help world is about putting yourself out there, being open to the world. For a lot of other people, vulnerable means, I'm in danger. Spiritual is a word that for some people they want to be spiritual, and for other people they feel that the word spiritual means it gives them connotations of growing up in a ultra orthodox religious background, and they hate it. And it has a very negative connotation. So again, with dogs, with these words that split your audience, you have to be very careful. If you know that you're only interested in talking to people who actually understand your meaning of spiritual, that's fine. But if you want to say, my drink that I'm selling you makes you feel spiritual, you may actually split your audience and put people off who actually, it was a nice drink. It's nothing to do with God or religion or anything. Vorpal Sword needs a little bit of explaining. It comes from Jabberwocky, which is a poem that's within Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. And it says this, it's a nonsense poem. These are the stanzas that include Vorpal Sword. He took his Vorpal Sword in hand, long time the maxome foe he sought, so rested he by the tum-tum tree and stood a while in thought. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the Vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with his head it went galumphing back. Now, we don't need to know what Vorpal Sword sounds like. Or it is, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a word. So Vorpal Swords are words that don't have any specific meaning. You can create meaning around them by giving the word, the reader, a placeholder. So words like this, in coaching, coaches talk about authentic self. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds great. Leading edge. This is a leading edge idea. What does that mean? No idea. Premium. Every time I go to pick up fuel for my car, it says premium. And I don't know what premium means. It doesn't actually mean anything. It just sounds great. So Vorpal Swords are just there to make things sound a little bit more interesting than they really are quite often. Or you can put your own meaning on top of them. Now, what my challenge to you is, it doesn't matter what your industry is or how you use language. This is about how you use language when you're not there to explain the words. So think about the words you use. Are you using candies, these words that everyone understands that they're good things? Are you using durians, that if you don't know the meaning of the word, then you're stuffed? Are you using dogs that can split your audience? They're really dangerous. Or using Vorpal swords, that are just words that you're putting out there, and it doesn't really matter if you're using them or not. Think about everything you're putting out from the perspective of a new client. So if someone came to you without any context of where you were going, coming from, would they understand what you're saying? Check out for jargon and metaphors. They tend to be durians. Jargon and metaphors, jargon definitely is durians. Metaphors sometimes make a lot of sense to you, but don't necessarily mean the same to everyone else. So you have to be really careful about metaphors and metaphorical usage. Now, in order to help you with this, as always, I've put a worksheet on my website. You can go and get it from englishleathermaster.com/mastering-life-shorts. Download that website, that worksheet, and it will take you through looking at your business or whatever it is you're doing. You know, you could do this for a church group for all that matters. Recognize the jargon and then think about those words that you're using. And it also points you towards the Oxford 3000, which is a list of 3,000 words that are the most commonly used words in the English language. If you're using words that aren't on that list, then you have to question whether you're using language that is more complicated than this is necessary. So the password for this week is sweets. Now, this is something that is quite difficult to do alone because we are definitely within our own industries quite a lot. So this is a really good idea for getting someone to help you with, and a great place for getting coaching. So, for example, if you were trying to look at your website and trying to look from outside perspectives, then if I was working with a client on that, then what I would do a lot of is role plays or making you think and say, okay, so if I was this side of person, what would I be thinking? And changing your perspective on things. You're interested in any of that, englishleathermaster.com, hit the experience coaching button and we'll have a chat for free, half an hour of free coaching just for you. Next week, I am incredibly excited about next week's webinar. It's the first of two about a theory that I was first exposed to a few months back. And ever since then, I've really found that it's helped me to understand myself and people more. It's not a new theory, it's been around since the 90s, but a theory of adult development that really helps you understand your relationship with your own self and everything around you. And so I'm going to be talking through the theory in session 1, and then how we're going to use the theory on ourselves in session 2. So I'm looking forward to that. If you've got any questions, if you're on the live webinar, then I'd be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, and definitely if you're on the YouTube channel, thank you so much for coming, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.